There are several federal agencies and task force and groups that have been advocating for over-the-counter. I think the most extreme case is the consumer does everything. They assess their hearing and decide whether they need any benefit. They then go to some place where the hearing aids are available, and they determine whether those are beneficial, what kind they want. They fit it themselves. They walk out the door with it. If they have any problems, they come back to the store or the place they purchased it. But it's just the consumer has complete control. They decide everything from first, initially, whether they have a problem, and then what kind of hearing aid is best for them, and whether it works, and whether it justifies what they're going to pay for it. In our case, we just looked at one of the key components where the consumer decides and the consumer picks the hearing aids. Everybody in our study did have a full hearing evaluation. At the time, medical clearance or waiver of the clearance was required, and I think of the 160 some people who were enrolled in the study, 3 actually went to a physician for clearance. The others just signed the waiver, which is more common. But they had that initial evaluation at the beginning, which is different from some versions of over-the-counter. They then selected their hearing aid themselves. They fit it, they adjusted, they followed some instructions, and then they left. And they came back 6 weeks later to measure outcome. So that's one of the key differences is we had the assessment part to determine whether they were eligible on the front end that isn't there in all of the versions of over-the-counter. Everybody got virtually the same hearing aid, so you physically, by looking at it, you couldn't tell whether it was a placebo device, a patient, an AB device that was fitted by the audiologist. Everything was exactly the same, which is different from what some people hypothesize about how over-the-counter models would work. They might be simpler, less sophisticated devices than these high-quality hearing aids that we actually used. But again, we were trying to look at just the way in which the hearing aids are provided to the people and not also have the product that they got and the price that they paid be something that differs. We wanted to kind of look at just the process of the consumer decides versus the audiologist selects. And why is mainly because a lot of people are trying to figure out how to make hearing aids more accessible and affordable. And over-the-counter is one way in which that's been hypothesized to address both of those issues. This isn't the end answer by any means, but it's the first systematic study of a key part of that approach. And it also provides kind of some yardsticks if somebody else wants to come up with their own over-the-counter approach. So let's say they did the exact same video and the handwritten instructions for how they skipped the first part about doing a full audiogram. They'd have to compare if the outcomes are the same, as good as when you did both of those steps together. So it kind of provides a yardstick against which other future clinical trials could be measured against.